stuff.
It's still fucking testing my broadcast.
Gravitational lensing around some dense object. Is that what that picture is?
For the intro?
Yeah, in your background there, the space, is that gravitational lensing? Doesn't look blue enough to me. Just my imagination. Never mind.
I have no idea what you're talking about because the stream's a wee bit behind us and all the rest of it's all messed up. And oh, Bro Joe's turned up, and Sarah Hurwim, Seraphim, is that another spelling of Seraphim?
Gravitational lensing around some dense object. Is that what
Richard,
that
mute
picture
the stream.
We're live already.
Mute the stream. I know. I told you that's what the intro was about. What do you think the intro was too? Mute the stream, man. Oh. Hello, Bro Joe. Thanks for turning up. Hello, Seraphim, Seraphim, whatever. I know so many people have taken that name. But,
is that the one that just joined Discord?
That's the one that I just met in Discord that may live very close to me.
Oh dear God.
We may have had the same teachers in school.
I think it's Sephirin.
Pete. We're calling them Pete. We're calling them Pete.
Seth.
Pete Sephirin.
Pete. Well, they may live very close to me. I may have a new friend. It depends. They may think this stream is absolutely bollocks and just disconnect with me and never speak to me ever again.
Out my name.
So we're back for a History of Special Edition. Richard does evolution.
Evolution, my worst topic ever. Oh
So-
my gosh, I'm so unprepared to talk about this. Anyway,
Oh, you
That's
kept
okay.
pushing it. I said that we were unprepared for it in the last stream. You kept pushing it, so now you've got a whole stream totally dedicated to it.
it was where the conversation went. I'm okay with that. I have reason to believe that I'm justified in this understanding. I think I have enough to say, okay, this makes sense, at least to me.
Let's start with what your understanding is.
That's a
I'm
great
gonna-
idea.
Yeah. Oh! I've just thought of something. Right. Hold on. There we go. Right. You can't see any different, but everyone in the stream sees something a little different. Okay. Discuss evolution.
Okay, all right. So here's what I think the truth is. Evolution happened somewhere because there's living critters. Okay?
Right.
But simultaneously, I think it's exceedingly unlikely for it to ever happen. So I don't think it just happens everywhere,
wait.
every whip stitch. What?
Oh, are you talking about the process, or are you talking about starting at that point?
Okay, now we get into micro versus macro evolution.
No, not yet. I just want to be clear. We're not talking about the start of life, are we?
We're not talking about abiogenesis.
I was not specifically trying to talk about abiogenesis, although I guess I could give my opinion on it.
No. That's a whole other topic that we can talk about for hours.
Yeah.
I was going to stick. We're not going to talk about the origin of life.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
Carry on.
So we see little changes over time. So I think the base definition of evolution, meaning things evolve and or change, is obviously true. I'm not arguing that.
Right.
I'm not sure that it's obvious it's always an improvement.
No, there's no such thing as an improvement.
Okay. More suitable to, I'll be more specific from here on. More suitable to its environment. I'm not sure it's always more suitable to its environment.
No, it never is. Again, you're
I'm using bad words. Help me.
Yes.
Help me.
I'm not saying I'm going to do any better.
Fight.
Evolution in that context is just change.
Right.
The thing as to whether or not it is suitable for an environment is what if it doesn't kill it off.
Right.
The process of evolution is completely and utterly random in that context.
Yes, it can't have forward-thinking memory, or else it's not evolution.
Yeah,
There is no end goal.
No.
There's no end. There cannot be a goal.
There's no. It's not getting better. I suppose the key thing there is it's not getting better, which you did say.
It's not getting better. It's only different and surviving.
Yes.
Is that fair?
More suited
yes.
to its environment.
Okay.
No, not necessarily.
No, you can't say that.
That comes later. In the process of evolution, it's not more suited to the environment. The process of whether or not it survives, whether it's naturally selected. So when you say evolution,
Yeah, sorry. Yes, you're correct. Sorry, go on ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I go back to my little square space at the top. Sorry.
Oh, I like the boxing ring. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
You like that? Richard?
That's cute. I am not prepared for a fight. Okay,
my knowledge of evolution is not vast.
Well, wait a minute. You were going no in the side chat.
Yeah,
and
you
made
were
me
having
think
a heart
maybe you're an
attack in the
expert
side
on
chat.
this.
Absolute
Or
heart
some
attack.
kind of expert.
No, I studied bits of it, and I know
Okay.
I know reasonable bits of it, and I know bits that I know accepted interpretations, and I know alternative ideas.
Okay.
The biggest problem I have is remembering it.
Okay. So you asked me what I think is true, and I want to try to describe that because I already know your position well enough. If it's just the standard position.
I'm not convinced.
Do you have variations from the standard position?
No, but I'm not convinced you understand what the standard position is.
Okay.
I was trying to get your understanding of it, and to try and then nitpick at where you're getting your evidence from.
Okay.
To why you believe it, and then I can work out, if nothing else, I can work out how you're interpreting it and what the actual underlying facts are,
Okay.
and see how you're interpreting them differently.
That's fair. That is fair.
Because I've talked to a few people, and you are very intelligent.
You're very nice. Thank you.
And I talked to a few people about it, and when they look at it at a higher level, it doesn't make sense to them, and they come to different conclusions. But
Okay.
when you actually go take it down to the individual steps that it's built upon,
Sure.
they can identify that, and they can see how it then gets built up and makes sense. If that makes
Okay.
sense. Right. Anyway, it's all
Would it
good.
help if I steel man what the modern synthesis is? Would that help?
It might do.
Okay, I'll try to steel man that position, that view. Which I still believe is a view because we're talking about humans looking at things.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand that I'm biased and I have a view. Okay, so I'm not trying to deny that I'm not claiming purity, not at all. I don't think any of us have that. But anyway. Okay. So my understanding of the synthesis model, the most recent model of evolution, because today even saying Darwinistic evolution is already a straw man in my opinion.
It is. Darwin is wrong.
Right.
Virtually everything that Darwin wrote is wrong. The fundamental idea was right. He got so much wrong. But they like to pick on it as Darwinism because they don't want to understand what current stuff is.
Okay. So I understand on a very small level, in simpler forms, there can be gene transfer.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of that gene transfer, you can get more information in the same living form.
I don't know what you mean by more information in that context, but I will for now say yes.
Okay. One-celled animal A is different than one-celled animal B.
Yeah.
And because some of the genetics from A can end up in B, B is now no longer just B, it's actually C.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the synthesis part of it.
Okay, that's not usually what's described by evolution, but that is...
I'm just trying to stay small.
Okay.
And we also see this in plants, and Tony Designs can actually talk about this in depth, where I cannot. I did learn a little bit about how genetics are formed in different plants, and some are binary, and some are quaternary, and some are tertiary, and the tertiary ones can bridge between the quaternary. It's complex, and I don't really understand it, so I won't speak to it. But it happens in plants as well. So you have a synthesis there. So you can have a new form because of different information, where information from two different sources have come together to form a new, to create a new form. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as I know, that's relatively fair. All right. So when you start adding all these little things together, including allele changes, or changes in allele frequency, to be more accurate, you can in that idea come up with or end up with a completely different animal over time. Is that fair?
When you say completely different animal, it would still be...
Okay, not on a cellular level is it completely different. I mean a different homology because of different information due to mutation and natural selection. I mean, natural selection still applies.
Yes.
Okay. All right. How can I further steelman evolution?
I have a slight...
else to say it's probably the most accepted theory.
Not relevant.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to say about
it. What's your issue with that?
Yeah, this is what we were trying to get to. Just 'cause it's the majority because it's so backed up. It wasn't the majority decides the decision.
Yeah. So there's a few problems with it.
Okay.
First of all, it's presented as the only option. Now, I'm not a paranoid person. Hold on.
Up to a point, it is.
What's up to a point mean?
Up to until we get back to the point of single cells earlier, possibly even earlier than that.
We have got right back, from what I have seen, we've got evidence to show right back to the point where plants and animals actually split, using the molecular clock to show how chloroplasty was taken in over the mitochondrial DNA. And we
came up with that theory.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But just wait. The point is that genetically, the genetic relationships between modern now DNA, and when you compare where they cross over, we can take that back until the point at which gene transfer is much more common.
Right.
Once you get gene transfer,
less complicated organisms.
Once you're working with gene transfer, it's a lot more complicated to trace because it's not a bushing structure.
Right.
So it's a lot more complicated to trace. We can go back further, but that's the point at right from that single. We'll go from a single cell to where we are now.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Evolution describes it pretty much flawlessly.
Okay. When you say single cell, does that include eukaryotes?
Yes.
Oh, so you're calling that a single cell? Okay.
Don't turn into Kent Hovind. I will just kick
I'm just
you.
trying to figure out what he's saying. That's all. I'm not trying to sharpshoot him.
I know, but if you say we're not eukaryotes, then you'll have become Kent Hovind, and I'll have to kick you.
We have mitochondrial DNA. We definitely are. That classification, the word we use would be eukaryote.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to deny that. That's the actual word we use. That's fine.
No. I understand actually that there can be confusion. There isn't so much in modern, but certainly in a lot of the older writings, where it was much more arbitrary, where things were put in categories like for like.
Well, we're working on it. It's okay.
Yes. Oh no, we're definitely improving that. But I understand that especially it's how the people like Hovind managed to pass off that it's just us making lines. Because in the past we were literally just putting, well, that's got 4 legs and walks on them. That's one of them.
We are coming up with better and better quote unquote trees.
Yes.
Yes, that are more accurate according to the actual information, not just homology.
Yes.
That's fair to say, right?
Yes, very much. Completely agree.
Okay.
Right. So, let's go this way then. Because then you might know. From that single cell to us, do you have a problem with?
I didn't even want to get past the single cell yet.
The problem is I know from the other end. But go on.
Okay, first of all, the theory of how single cells became, how prokaryotes became eukaryotes, was like an epiphany that came to someone who was married to a scientist. Okay?
Okay.
And the general idea there is that one cell absorbed another but didn't eat it.
Yes.
Do you know how ridiculous it is to say it absorbed another cell and did not digest it?
That's not relevant to evolution.
That is generally what happened, man. If you look at mitochondrial DNA and you look at your
You can't say
DNA,
that is generally what happened.
Well, mitochondria inside your cell has separate DNA to the actual DNA of the whole cell. It shows that it's separate.
Wait. I don't get that.
It's definitely separate.
Relevant at this point.
I go back to being quiet.
It's a very small part that's
it's an apparent explanation, but since one-celled animals don't make choices as far as I know, they can't choose to not digest it.
No, in the same way that you do. In the same way that I apologise for using it. In the same way that your body doesn't decide to not attack AIDS.
Right. So there has to be a chemical predisposition that it accepts it.
Yes. But that again, the cell that was absorbed is evolving on its own, and when you take it down to its basic level, it's the shape of the molecules around it as to whether or not it gets let in and not destroyed.
Right.
And once it was in there, the energy benefits of having it meant that anything that hinted at killing it off would have been much less efficient.
That's a necessity of saying it that way. Yes.
You're right. I can't describe the process of evolution at that point in history, and I also can't. You're talking about a point in history that is very difficult to study.
Okay, so here's what I find to be true. That since I'm saying something different, it's very difficult for another person to understand what I'm trying to say. So, as well as doing my best, poor job as it was, to steelman the position of the new synthesis in evolution, I also need to try to strawman my own position as well.
Yes, but okay. This is my problem where you're going at. The majority of evolution explains, if you ignore that, if you start from the point at which we have a single cell and go to now, do you agree that evolution covers it up? That evolution...
I don't think I understood the sentence.
Sorry. If you go from the single cell, with a nucleus, I'd even be willing to go a little bit further to the point at which we have some multicellular. To go from the multicellular to now is explained and proven, as much as can be, by the current models of evolution. Did I make him pass out?
Oh no, he's gone! And he's ruined the whole luck of everything. Oh, and
What
now
happened?
Oh, now we've got everything. It's all fucked up now. Look, we've got the intro running again. Hello, everybody. Okay, he's back.
I have no idea what happened.
I think it's
was
called the
scared and ran
StreamYard
away
Shuffle.
I needed a break. That's what it was.
We'll call it the StreamYard Shuffle.
All right. Happens every once in a while. Okay,
We're now in the wrong place. Oh, I know. See.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You've just got the duck.
should we wait, or because I see the show beginning running again?
No, we're good.
Oh no,
Okay.
we're all good. Don't you worry about anything, Richard. It's all running in the
Okay.
background. Live production, man. Live production.
Well, if anyone's actually listening to this conversation, I don't want them to be missing a chunk of it. Okay. All right. So where are we at? You were trying to say something that I hadn't yet computed it, so I can't remember what you'd said.
Right, that's okay. If you, do you have any problem with the model from single cell to human, or from multi-cell to human?
Can we jump forward in time to past the Cambrian explosion, or do you want to cover
Sure.
that?
No, we can go to the Cambrian explosion if you want.
Good, because there's big problems between that and the Cambrian. So let's just skip that.
Between okay, my point being, in terms of what it describes, each chunk can be demonstrated to within certain degrees of acceptability.
Okay, now what is that testing based on?
Again, it depends on. Right, okay, this is where I say where I tend to start from the other end.
Okay.
Okay. Right, I'll show you my understanding and how
Go
we
ahead.
backtrack. Okay, if you take humans, right, from the point at which two parents have a child, and that egg is fertilized, and that child being born, there are approximately 64 individual mutations that will be passed on to its offspring.
Or up to 100, depending on where you read the information, but go ahead.
the one I
Right.
read was up to 90 odd, nearly 100. Yeah.
Last
Just
study I
depends on
read
where
was
you look.
about 64.
Fair enough.
But I'm not willing to speak. Right. The point being, which will lead me to my other question in a minute. Right. That means that no matter what, every generation is going to have that much difference.
Sure.
Okay. Now, assuming you accept that the Earth is as old as it is, as old as scientifically says, okay, you can backtrack those numbers. Okay, to the point where you can do this to us, and you can do this to chimpanzees, and you can work out exactly the point at which they should merge.
Okay.
genetically. And you can keep doing this with every form of life on Earth, tracking back to the point at which the DNA would be the same. Right, this is where gene transfer gets complicated.
Aaron
'Cause it
Rad's trying to do that with a phylogeny project.
Yeah.
Right, and the point is, there is no, assuming you accept the age of the Earth, which is what is required for this, obviously. Sorry, I apologise for asking. Do you accept the age of the Earth?
What do you mean by accept?
Do you accept that it's, I can't even remember, 4 billion years old, about, give or take?
Could be older than that. I wouldn't care.
That's fine. My point is, you don't think it's 10,000 or 20,000 or 100,000 years old.
It's 6.
We have statues older than that.
Thank you. So the point is, genetics alone demonstrates evolution back to a certain point.
Okay.
Right, and this is why I picked on, and I think it's about the point of the single cell that's
Okay.
proven. Right, and my point is do you accept that?
No.
Right, why not?
Okay. If I said 50% of something, for instance, and you go, oh, let's say I said let's do, car parts, right?
Say again? Car parts. Yeah.
You know parts of cars.
Yes.
Oh, you are starting to sound like
At least
Kenthoven now.
fairly well. Okay, so if I said something was 98.5% similar in piston rings, and I could show you that all across all these different cars have all the same piston ring, almost exactly the same, does that mean all of the car is the same?
No.
Okay, so when we talk about these testing methods, what we're talking about is similarities in coding protein.
Yes,
Right?
but you're not appreciating the scale.
What do you mean I'm not appreciating the scale? I haven't even finished my statement.
Go on. Well, okay, your example doesn't appreciate the scale, I will say then. But go on.
My example thus far doesn't appreciate the scale. I'll give you that.
Go on.
Okay, so if you go and you look at the testing method of protein coding, you're going to find that between human being and chimpanzee, 68% of it was incomparable and was not compared. That's already more than 50% different. Then
No.
of that,
Not quite. But go on.
what do you mean? Not quite.
I can't remember off the top of my head. But go on. I will have to grant it to you for now because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well,
But
the genetic material is just in a different order. It doesn't line up in any way, and it cannot be compared.
Again, I can't remember the specific testing method on that one. This is why I said my memory is the issue here. Go on, carry on.
Just like we don't have genetic survey between me and Pine Tree because we're so different. There's no genetic comparison there. Anyway.
You said
okay,
pine tree, you said eukaryote, and you said cars. You really are sounding
and that's as
like
far as it goes. Yeah, we're both eukaryotes.
Do you think do you accept? Again, these are the simple questions. Do you accept macroevolution at all?
Do I accept macroevolution at all?
Evolution of the species.
Sure, if you're talking about extinction events of the species, sure, I'll accept it. Do you think that evolution happens, but it's generally punctuated? I think that macroevolution results always in extinction. That's what the evidence suggests to me. Say that again. Well, say that. So you get macroevolution, and then the species dies out. But no, I think it kills us. As kills us, as in whatever macro evolves dies.
What? Macroevolution to me is the same as microevolution, but only at the speciation level.
Yeah.
So if we speciate, we die, is what I
I
just
see
heard.
no evidence of speciation.
Speciation as in creating cousins, as in that's why we are cousins to other great apes.
But that's what I was addressing in talking about the genetic similarity in protein coding. That's what I was addressing.
Okay, I was just clarifying where I am in reference to listening to you, and that's what I'm getting.
I can't
It's very
remember.
standard stuff.
The
I mean,
details of what wasn't compared is going to be important, and I can't remember it. I can't remember the relevance of it.
it's important to me.
No, it is important. That's my point. But I can't remember why it's not relevant.
It doesn't matter why it wasn't tested. It wasn't tested. That's the point, and you know that.
No. My point being, it might.
It doesn't matter
If
why
you're
it's not
trying to
tested.
trace-
The fact is, it's not part of the test.
Yes, but if you're only trying to trace a gene, if you're only trying to test a chromosome going back, you're only looking for the chromosome, so you're not testing the other stuff. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. I can't remember the specifics as to exactly why. I have the stats in front of me, but I didn't write that down.
I'm only talking about protein coding information. Only protein coding. I'm not changing the topic. I'm not slipping a funny one in there.
I thought all the protein coding stuff was tested. Again,
That's what I'm telling you.
Because
Between human and chimpanzee, we had to throw away to start with 68% of it. Just to even make the test. And then of that, which is already less than 50% by a lot, then of that, we got to keep 3%, and of that, we got 98.5% or 97 point, whatever it is recently. That's less than 1% similarity. And then they teach kids in school it's 98% the same. Yeah, in your test, which is not conclusive, and it doesn't test everything. So I got a problem with not testing everything and then saying you tested everything.
I will have to get back to you on that, on the reason, on the logic.
Okay, but if I'm right that they threw away 68%, will you concede that that's not a thorough test?
I will concede it is not a thorough test. Well, depending on the reason.
What?
I will, depending on the reason.
Because it didn't line up in any way. It could not be compared.
If it didn't line up, was that
It could not be compared because it was so dissimilar. So it wasn't part of the testing. So if they want to say that humans and chimpanzees
was that not the
are 37% similar, I'll agree with them.
No, was that not to do with what's the thing? Was that not the stuff that was the new stuff?
That was pretty vague.
I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to get back to you on it.
I'm just saying 37 would have been a better evaluation than 97 point whatever.
No, it wouldn't. But my point is I can't back it up until I've reread the paper. Because it leaves me
more like
me
32%, but
I have all the numbers, but I don't have the reason.
Okay. All right. So what I believe happened is that first of all, Christians are wrong about the text, and I mean very, very severely wrong, and that a seventh day of creation has not happened. There has not been a seventh day. That we are still in the sixth day, which means there's actually 5 days of creation. Now, when I look back through our evidence in the fossil record, in the stratigraphy, I see 5 major Earth-changing events.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I'll agree with that.
Okay, so I think those are the events talked about in the text. Very briefly, just a few sentences each one. But it's not meant to be a science book.
Certainly an interpretation.
But it's obviously... I could go through the logic of why there's only been 5 days, but
No,
according to the text, there's only been 5 days. We're in the 6th day. We haven't even finished the 6th day yet. And I can go through the logic, and I find it impeccable. But anyway, so I see 5 major Earth-changing events. Okay, so I think there's been 5 because I think the science is accurate. Where at one point, and way before there was anything significantly large living here, there was huge water flow, and we see scarification across entire continents, and all in the same direction. You know, like no land animal could survive that. It was crazy, and we see evidence of pattern of high velocity wind shaping solid rock and loose soil. And I mean, huge major events. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask how you know it's high velocity, but I don't think it's relevant.
Well, because it forms a pattern that weathering could not form. Water, rain, ice, snow could not form these patterns.
Yeah, fair enough.
That the mountains were like, so if I took 2 tectonic plates and I shoved them together real hard and I threw a rock up in the air, what I should see is up and down of sedimentary turned up. That's what I should see, right? But what I shouldn't see is a repeating pattern in the side of that where there's these points, say for instance 4 points, then 2 points, then 1 point. I should never see that from weathering. It's all over the planet. Which means high velocity wind actually ate the rock away. And we see it a lot. But it's the kind of wind that would kill, like no way a human or anything humanoid would ever survive that kind of wind.
Totally.
It would just rip you to shreds.
You're talking about something that would be equivalent of the blast from a nuclear explosion. 200, 300.
Yeah, bigger than that. Much bigger than a single nuclear bomb. Huge, nasty.
No, I definitely. I cannot necessarily agree with the number you're talking about because I don't have anything to back it up. But I certainly will concede, without a doubt, there is that those winds have existed.
Okay.
Planet.
All right. So when it comes to the age of the Earth, it looks like this rock's real old, and it looks like some really catastrophic things have happened here.
Yes, very much so. Have you watched I think it was a BBC documentary called Catastrophe?
I don't think so.
You might enjoy it.
If I find an extra hour, which I don't know where I'm going to get that from.
It's a series because it goes through each of the major disasters that wiped out life.
Okay.
One by one.
Okay, so when I look at the chalk beds, I think they're in England, somewhere in Great Britain anyway.
We have massive chalk beds.
Yes. When I look at those chalk beds, and I understand that those are single-celled shelled animals.
Yeah.
And that's what chalk is. Yeah. And some of those chalk beds are not 5 feet thick. Some of them are like, I don't know, a mile thick or something crazy.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, there must have been a whole bunch of diatoms or whatever that kind of one-celled critter is that got pushed by a huge, crazy event. What's that?
They weren't one-celled.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were small seeds. They were shelled creatures,
which sank to the bottom and was compressed.
And it was under the bottom of the ocean. And it's just
due to
are diatoms single-celled?
I have no idea.
I understood that diatoms were single-celled but had a shell. I could be wrong.
You can't be single-cell and have a shell.
I'm not. Okay, I'll concede that easily. Anyway, really tiny. And there was a bunch of them.
Yeah, but they were crushed under the ocean. Sorry, just to interrupt, but they were crushed at the bottom of the ocean, all floated to the bottom of the ocean, crushed, and then raised by tectonic movement up until, say, for example, the White Cliffs of Dover. Would I be right in saying that, Dave?
White Cliffs of Dover, exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Weren't originally...
It's a deposition.
Yeah, they presently deposit at about, what is it,
Oh, like a couple of
nine
millimeters.
9 millimeters per shoot.
You'd take thousands of years. Thousands of years.
Yeah, like
It
coral.
would take a really, really long time to build a mile of that, and it
Yes.
it wouldn't explain why it would be pure either.
It's not pure.
It's pure enough to look at it, and it looks white.
But that's just, man, that's, you could look at a
It's been
spreadsheet.
crushed down and
If you look at
you're
spreadsheets,
saying,
every single digital picture now is a spreadsheet of 3 different colors. If you look close enough, it's just little blocks of red, green, and blue. But when you look at it from a from outside, from a far enough distance, it looks like a picture. But if you zoom in,
Can I get 50% shells? Can I get 50%? How about 30? Can I get 30% shells?
I'll give you 50 shekels.
No, I don't need shekels. Can I get that the chalk beds are at least 50% chalk? Can I get that?
oh, I think they're probably more than that.
I think so too. I'm trying to be safe. I'm trying to downplay it to be safe.
Okay, go on.
Where's the rest of the crap that should be there?
Well, it is
If you're
there.
just talking about sedimentary, it should be mixed like sedimentary stuff is normally mixed.
Not if that's the only thing that's living there.
So that's what I'm saying, that there was like that and almost only that.
Yes.
Okay, so it was a huge concentration, and then
Yeah.
something catastrophic happened.
No, they just lived and died.
What was it, a really big pit where they just all happened to settle and hang out in one spot?
No, it was probably a lake.
It was a...
I mean, you've got the things like...
Okay, sure. It was
I
a
don't
lake.
know, is the point. At the end of the day,
We
I
don't
haven't-
know. We can speculate.
I mean,
Anyway, I think there was 5 catastrophic events, and in that light reading and it not being a science book, that covers enough of it. Okay? When it comes to animals on this planet and the likelihood of something as complicated as you are, I think that's extremely unlikely. And it can be mathematically shown that it's extremely unlikely,
No, it
which
can't.
is why we don't think that we just have another set of humans on the next planet over.
One book that has been universally discredited.
Which book is that?
The one that says that evolution is mathematically impossible.
I'm not quoting any book. And
The
I
point
didn't
is-
say impossible either.
My bad.
I didn't say impossible. I said it's just extremely unlikely.
Of course, it's extremely unlikely.
Okay,
But that's
well,
not the
yeah,
point.
I'm not...
The point is you have time and virtually infinite mutations.
Hitting every single traffic light on the way home, 7 in a row, all being green, is mathematically, very
unlikely, but it
improbable.
happens.
Well, every time you shuffle a deck of cards,
Look,
the
we're
outcome
here
is-
talking, so it obviously happened somewhere.
Yeah,
Yes.
As Dave uses the funny thing, every time someone shuffles a deck of cards, what's the odds of you getting a 7, a 4, a 2, a 9, and a 6? Exactly the same odds as you getting 5 6s in a row. It's just more poignant to us because
Somebody's
of the 6s.
cheating if you got 5 6s. But anyway,
No, you get 5 6s, yes.
Okay, just as a
Sorry,
wee
4.
interrupt, just as a shout out to everybody that's recently joined, we got Matt that's joined, Gio that's joined, Train back, we got Benghazi, Spartan Theology, thanks everybody for coming across, thanks everybody for turning up.
wow.
Lots of
I-
nice new people in the
I want a
chat
button
today.
you can push and you can find out the average IQ of the side chat. I'd love to have that button. Somebody write a program for that.
That's called
anyway.
the CIA is in the process of doing.
Oh, they probably already got it through Facebook, right? But anyway, other paranoid statements. Okay. All right, so I'm not saying that evolution didn't happen. It obviously did. We're talking.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm suspicious that it happened here, only here, ever.
I don't think it happened only here ever. I think it's happened everywhere. I think it's happened all over the universe.
Richard is
Okay.
being very specific to the fact that humans have only evolved here, or humans have have evolved somewhere else on another Earth. That's, I think, what he's talking about. Not evolution in general, evolution to the point of where we are and who we are. The Homo sapien has evolved on different Earths.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I think our testing is not yet perfect, and our understanding is not yet perfect, although a perfect understanding already exists somewhere. It's just not here yet. We haven't gotten that far. Okay? Even if I said undirected panspermia, let's say that abiogenesis happened somewhere, and there were first cells. I don't know, a handful of them, maybe a couple hundred different kinds or whatever.
Yeah.
And let's say that happened on some planet that's like this one.
Yeah.
Not exact. It doesn't have to be exact, but maybe like ancient Earth, or what you think of as ancient Earth.
Wait,
okay?
just let me. Right. I genuinely, as one of those weird beliefs that I hold,
Right.
I think that there is a reasonable possibility that life started on Venus.
Well, okay, but I'm gonna take it out of our solar system if that's
Fair
okay,
enough.
because Venus is still there.
Not
Okay,
as a life-sustaining planet.
what's that?
Not as a life-sustaining planet.
Yeah, but it's still physically there. So for
Yeah.
my example, it doesn't work. I could change the example, but it's too hard right now off the cuff.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say this Earth-like planet got struck by some huge stellar object at high speed.
Yeah.
And it just got smashed to smithereens. But we know there's certain simple life forms that can
Yep.
go into like a static position
Yeah. No
and
doubt.
survive
No doubt.
outer space.
And the bigger it got, bigger the thing that gets hit, the bigger the chunks of rock that get hit off, the more the higher likelihood that some sort of life will have survived on it.
Okay, all right. So let's start from that point. Let's just call that. Let's call that Planet Zero.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Planet Zero gets smashed and it gets distributed.
Yep.
But it would be distributed fairly evenly or unevenly. It doesn't even matter. And going at some rate of speed doesn't matter. Out into other places
Yeah.
where it might find another habitable planet where it can survive.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say that happened over the course of time in about 1,000 different environments.
Yep.
Okay, so whichever one got started first would be right now the most evolved. Can you agree to that?
There's no such thing as most evolved.
You know what I'm saying.
Not really, because there's no.
That's the whole
What do you
point
mean-
of the
what do you mean by most
clarification.
evolved?
Can I say most advanced?
No.
You say most technologically advanced if you want.
Okay, let's go with that. That's what I'm driving at anyway. Is
Okay.
most technologically advanced at this exact time in the A theory of time.
Okay.
All right. So there could be in different environments very different but highly technologically advanced life forms.
Yes.
But they could be very different from each
Oh,
other.
completely and utterly. I mean, there are lots of things we could say.
I'm just saying this is plausible.
Yes. You have said nothing that is implausible at this point.
Okay, I'm trying to this makes sense to me.
Right.
All right. So let's say some life form got to the point where it was technologically advanced enough that it could understand what a life form was, and it starts creating its own specialized life form for special purposes. Like we're already doing GMOs and altering stuff. I mean, I think we're on the edge of that.
I think that the fact that we've created new base pairs is much more interesting on that route.
For instance, yeah. Okay, so new base pairs. All right. So what I see in spiritual text being described is that there was this overlord species. I'll call it a species. All right? And it got advanced enough that it started making a slave species. It was different from itself.
Okay, right. Forget this for now. Right.
What's that?
Well, no, it's not the wrong word. The point is that none of that is relevant in terms of describing evolution because the evolution already happened.
But I'm not arguing with that.
your only objection then is that you think that the life on Earth was already...
That all these life forms were pre-established somewhere else.
He's not denying evolution, he's denying evolution happened here.
Do you accept the relationship between the life on Earth?
It sure looks like there's a lot of similarity, but I'm not sure that's not digestibility. Did you know that the singular largest energy source naturally on this planet is eaten by nothing? Nothing eats it. And if anything ate it, there could not be soil. But luckily,
Have you heard about the mold?
There's nothing that can eat it.
Have you heard about the mold in Chernobyl?
Chernobyl mold. Nope, unfamiliar. Teach me.
Oh, it's like oh god. there is a mold that has evolved.
That part I caught.
In the next to the in the same room as the current pile.
Current what?
Who's got piles?
It's
I
called
don't have piles.
pile. It's in the underneath Chernobyl, in the basement in Chernobyl. There is the melted core.
Okay.
Of the nuclear reactor.
Great.
Right? It is very radioactive.
Yeah, kills
In
most
that
stuff.
room,
Yeah.
There is a mold growing
Okay.
that has learnt to use the energy emitted by the core.
You can't say learned.
You're right, I can't. Has evolved to use the energy.
Okay.
I think the reason that no life has particularly evolved to use the energy that's naturally on the Earth is because the sun gives off more.
No, it's the most plentiful. I can't remember the darn name of it. I'd spit it out for you.
Which one?
You can say fuck here, Richard, it's okay.
Oh, I just don't say stuff like that. I'm gonna have to look it up and find you the name of it.
So, are you thinking of the uraniums or the thoriums?
No, it's not. It's not radioactive at all. It's the largest source of what could be digestible energy for like plant and animal forms that's naturally on this planet. And right now, all it does is it's helping in like forest floors and stuff. It's soil, but nothing eats it. But it's a necessity somehow. I need to go and look it up.
You have right now because I can't remember. I can't remember the bits. It's like the question as to why are leaves green.
It's like the question, why are leaves green?
Leaves are green because they absorb all the rest of the spectrum except for green. That's why.
That's a
leaves
good
are green.
answer.
Yes, but green is the most plentiful from the sun.
Yes, I agree with you on that, man. But that you didn't go into specifics. You asked why they're green, and I was right.
But I meant as in why are they not?
Ah, that's a different question. Different answer, different question altogether.
Now there is a hypothesis. I do not know the state of it. There is a hypothesis that they probably used to be black or red or purple.
Red. The one I have seen is red.
And everything on the Earth was using that color, and then it was only then that the little bit light that used to get through was green. It was of the other colors. And that's where chlorophyll evolved for plants that were on the forest floor, that were low down on the forest floor, that were getting light through the canopies. And then
Less
all those
competition
died out. Yes. Okay, like I said, that's a very bad explanation, but
it's okay. We are not professionals in this topic.
right. But the point being, the question is, green is by far, the leaves being green is by far not the most efficient.
No.
Right. Now it could be something completely different. I've seen a hypothesis that says that the plants that do it with the rest of the visible spectrum have problems with heating. They can overheat, and it could be that. Like I said, I don't think there is a proven thing.
There's other things besides plants, so there's other factors that would have to be considered for this entire environment to work, not just what color's chlorophyll. So
Yes.
yeah, so there's other considerations, and
I mean, okay, I can give you a lovely stupid one that in terms of evolution on Earth.
now you're just goofing off.
I am, because I'm annoyed that I don't have an answer to my point.
Oh, at least you're announcing that you're deflecting.
Big man.
At least you're honest that you're deflecting.
The problem is I've reached a point where I cannot delve further with my point.
Oh no, you have to go at least another 4 minutes and 7 seconds, because then we'll have hit a
But the
limit.
point is, okay, well, I have a good one for evolution on Earth, right? And that is coal.
What?
Coal.
Coal, as in bituminous and etc. Coal?
Coal. Wood. The stuff made out of dead trees.
Yes.
How can it exist?
What do you mean, how can
How
it
can we
exist?
have coal deposits that exist?
You're asking me for my theory on coal formation during the Carboniferous era?
Right. The issue is, the issue is,
There's too much carbon there.
there is too much. Well, there's too much. The seams couldn't exist. Trees don't get buried complete anymore because they get eaten
By bugs and stuff.
by a particular fungus that can break down the.
Lichen and fungus.
There we go.
Yeah.
That can break. It can break down the what's the name in the wood that gives it?
Cellulose.
It might be the cellulose.
Don't say wood. Doorknob head gets excited. He starts typing more.
No. That's
Yeah.
okay. If we start talking about wood, we know who to talk to.
Ah ha ha, yeah. MathPig merch. Buy yourself a mug. My mum held my wood.
When I was really small, mine did too. Don't feel bad. And probably cleaned me often. It's okay. So moms look at it differently. They're just like part of my baby.
Get your MathPig merch.
Nice sweatshirt, bro.
Get oh, where is it?
How many shows before I get a free one?
It depends. Is your size smaller than me? Because this one's a little tight on me, you know. And
I got about a 41-inch chest.
What about that? We've got a wee.
I like that.
Did that work? Did you see the back of it? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Briefly before it went out of focus.
Oh, hold on.
I've got a 41-inch chest and a 32-inch waist.
You've now
you
it's
know.
now hidden behind the chair.
There you go. The lovely. Those actually, it does look really nice and crisp.
It does.
There you go.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, overall, I think an evolutionary process, which we do not fully understand yet, did happen somewhere, resulting in a slave race, which was experimentally improved upon to the point that an entire batch was wiped out because it was too smart, except for one. That one was raised by the king's masterclass.
Uh-huh.
And was given understanding and education and was brought up in the master class and taught about their technology.
Sounds very Moses-y.
No, you're right. It's exactly Moses. No, you're right. It's exactly the story of Moses.
Uh-huh.
That what I would call the first human being, what some would call God, which is kind of inaccurate, but anyway, what some would call Adam, started out different from the rest. He was the first kind. So he was nursed on his mother's milk, but he had no equal.
Wait. We know that genetically we were never down to one human.
How long ago?
What do you mean?
How long ago?
We know that
In what group?
2 humans.
In what group are you talking about? Because I'm talking about possibly billions and billions and billions of years ago.
Okay, all right, I'll agree that. Okay,
and I'm not talking about this planet at all.
We were definitely not down to a breeding pair of humans in the last 100,000 years.
I don't think it's ever dropped
for me.
anything smaller than what, 5,000-10,000?
Yeah.
I think groups of 10,000 is the smallest we find. Is that right?
Yeah, I think somewhere in between.
Mostly they're bigger than that. It's after natural disasters. India reduced out.
I'm absolutely fine with that. After all, the text says that Cain leaves his hometown and gets married, but it doesn't mention anything about any sisters going with him. So apparently there was this other town of folks next door. I got no problem with that.
This is what I do love about you, okay? Because this is
it's what the text says.
You give to Christians, and they go fucking nuts and don't accept the fact that that these are meant to be the only 4 people on Earth, and they
obviously not. Obviously not.
Can I say something, right? Dave might shout at me today, right? Shout at me for saying this because he DM'd me it in private. But he was like, I don't like supporting Richard that much because I don't agree with his position, but fucking good crack, like.
Thank you, Dave.
I do like you, Richard. I think
I'm fond of
what
you
say
too.
is completely nuts, but
I don't think it's so nuts, really. If you look at it, all I'm saying is that we, as a species, are directly related to everything here, apparently, because all of this, like a biodome, was designed to work together.
You say biodome, but you make it sound small. It's not biodome. It's a planet, man. It's worldwide. It's
every a small biodome compared to the sun.
Compared to the size of the universe, yes, it's a biodome. But take this into consideration. Every person that you've ever heard of who has lived and died, every single person has just
no, he doesn't believe that.
He does not believe that. That's correct. Fuck's sake. Throwing that out the window.
Most of the people.
Let's call it a biospec.
No. Can I say everybody that Richard has ever known and spoken to and interacted with has been from this planet?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not true either.
Fuck me, you haven't spoke to an alien.
I got information from outside of myself and not on this earth. I don't know what to call that.
Oh, I'm going back to being quiet again. This is Tonight I have heard quotes from Flat Earth. I have heard quotes from Kent Hovind, and don't go down.
No, you have not.
You have.
I have.
No.
Yes.
No, I may espouse things that sound similar. I am not quoting Kent Hovind, not ever.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There is a big difference. I genuinely believe that Richard believes what he is saying. I don't think Hovind understands the word meaning of the word truth.
No. I underagree. I underagree with you. I do totally agree with you in that. Richard is.
What's that called? Compartmentalization. When you go, okay, this is true, but they conflict with each other, but I don't notice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just gone from my head completely.
Richard is very genuine. Like Richard said, whenever we went off stream, and that's the reason it took us so long, is because Richard was like, "I'm going for a smoke," and got up and took his speakers off, and then I said something, and then he came back on screen again to defend it. And I was like, look, just fuck off and go for a smoke. And he goes off screen again, and then I would throw a wee word in, and he'd laugh in the background, and then he'd appear on screen again. And it was like, Richard, you're not going for a smoke. But I have to address this point that you just said.
True story.
He generally believes it. That's... Plus, it's all good fun. I know we're in a boxing ring here, but it's all good fun.
Cognitive dissonance.
Okay, so when I've tricked a few people to their benefit. People who say, "Oh, there can't be a God," and I'll get them off topic on purpose, and say, "Okay, if we became space travelers." Which we're pretty close to doing. And we defeated all disease, which I think we're not close to, but I think it's in our sights.
But it wouldn't be a god, is the problem. What you're describing wouldn't be a god.
Hold on a second. I didn't describe a god yet.
You were getting to one, but it was going to be...
I'm definitely going there eventually, you're right. I mean, I think you're brilliant, but you're jumping way ahead. Which brilliant people always do that crap to me, but anyway. Okay, and I asked
passive
them.
aggressive.
Well, it's just true. It's not passive aggressive. It's a statement of fact. I can like back that up with lots of examples. So if we became space travelers who did not die of old age because we solved the genetic problem, and yes, there are animals on this planet who do not die of old age. Something has to kill them.
Yes.
And we could become like that if we figured all this stuff out.
Yes, totally agree.
And if we went to another planet, one of these Goldilocks planets, and we found it's not just similar to Earth, it's frickin' Earth.
Yeah.
Okay?
also found
And we
super-
saw an animal there that looked like us, acted like us. We saw this environment, but say, I don't know, 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We would look at them and go, I know exactly where they're heading and exactly what they're going to do. They're going to start industry. They're going to ruin their atmosphere. They're going to start into global warming. They're going to melt the ice caps. They're going to do all this stupid stuff, and they're going to kill themselves.
Do you know that was actually an episode of the 1990s Out of Limits? Double part 2 episode where the people traveled to another planet where they thought they were going to find the origins of where we came from, and it turned out that it was basically us, but who had figured out genetics, who had figured out this, that and the other, and how to cure disease, and they ended up killing themselves and destroying themselves. Sci-fi
Anyway,
was there before.
yeah, along those lines.
Yep.
So if we went there and we did that and we saw that, and we saw what they were doing, and we thought, wait a minute, this evolved to be exactly us, and I see my past in this. If you're so motivated and you feel any kind of an attachment because of those similarities, you're faced with a moral dilemma. And I think the only solution to the dilemma is to create religions. And I think that's what happened.
You're saying that you're saying that a species evolved here and then another species arrived.
Well, I'm skipping over directed panspermia. I'm skipping directed panspermia, but yes, generally.
Can I just jump in and give a short version? Something relative to the stitching idea where we had a basic species here and they come in and tweaked us a bit. Would you agree with that, Richard?
Not at all. I think that the master race did that so long ago and so far away it's ridiculous.
So they didn't come into a Cro-Magnon man and tweak it to a Homo sapien. They come in at the bacterial level, at that sort of second multicellular level, and started it. So the whole idea from the get-go was them, not that they came across us as a Cro-Magnon and tweaked us. They came across...
Right, I think they started pretty much from scratch with singular cells to make their slaves. I think this is why slavery is addressed so much in spiritual texts.
Well, considering if you agree with the point that the Earth is 4.3 billion years old, and they needed...
Sure, why not?
Pardon?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, right. Well, I think that's the consensus, isn't it? 4 billion, 4.3 billion, yes?
Something like that, yeah.
If I needed someone to take out the trash, having to wait 4.3 billion years, I'd have an awful lot of trash built up in the kitchen before the slave actually kicked in. You know, it's just, as I said earlier, it's an awful...
Brother, that's conflation.
That's
You're
also
conflating two different things
not
there.
taking into account whether or not it's working under the assumption that we do not get faster than light travel, which is a very reasonable assumption. Putting something on an Earth and then you traveling around the galaxy at 70%, 80% the speed of light.
It wouldn't do.
Say again?
It wouldn't do. You couldn't do it that way. I agree.
But my point being that the amount of time on Earth would be...
Yes, I can see what Dave's trying to point out. They'd spend maybe 6 years in their spaceship and 100,000 years would have travelled in time in us, relative to.
Yes.
Right, it's problems.
Yeah, I can understand. As you travel closer to the speed of light, relative to everyone else's, time slows down.
I mean, it's the thing that annoys me right now. We are perfectly capable of reaching our nearest star with a spacecraft.
Okay.
We could send humans to our nearest star now.
Okay.
We have the technology. It would take. I think if we went half the speed of light, which we are capable of achieving, I think we could do it in 20 years there and back.
Okay.
Again, I'm trying to remember the numbers off the top of my head. It might be double that. But the
My
point
baby
being,
sister and I figured out at our top speed ion drive, presently usable,
Yeah.
to get to the next Goldilocks planet at our top speed from here, it's 77,000 years.
how far away is it?
I don't know. We actually used like the speed of light and the speed of the actual rocket. We used data off NASA.
Can we have a galaxy name, a planet name, some sort of
It was the closest one. It was in the Andromeda, I think.
There you go. There's Dave checking Google. Listen to the typewriter kick in.
Just look for closest Goldilocks. That's the one we used.
The amount of Goldilocks.
Proxima Centauri B.
Okay.
How far away is Alpha Centauri B?
Is that in? I don't know if that is Goldilocks. That's just the nearest, closest exoplanet.
That rings a bell. I think that's the one she found.
I think exoplanet is what the proper term is.
All right. The point being that's 4.5. That's 4.5 light years away.
So if you're doing 70% the speed of light, is that what you said, Dave?
Well, I was 50% because it's nice and easy to work out.
Yeah, well that's grand. Yeah, that's only what 8 there,
8 years
back.
away. Yeah.
20 years.
What speed are we achieving? I'm unaware of this rocket propulsion.
No, we haven't have a rocket that does that.
What do we have that'll do that?
You just use a sail and light.
And you
Solar sail.
It will continue to accelerate.
Yeah, you keep
At
shooting
that
it,
time.
shooting it, shooting it, shooting it, shooting it.
That's the difference. I was talking about something we already have. You're talking about something we'll soon have.
We already have it. We just haven't built it.
That's
what I
The
mean.
technology has been developed.
The technology
It's
is there.
Yeah, but we don't have it yet. I mean, if we launch today.
It might. Fair enough. But no, again, even with an ion drive, with the constant acceleration, you pack a load of them together with nuclear power,
Right.
and I think you can.
It was based on ion drive.
I can't remember the additive acceleration.
They say there's a top speed. I don't know why.
Right. It's usually the power source.
I'm literally not a rocket scientist.
No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near. I'm basing it on rough estimates.
Dave's
But the
big,
point
but we
being-
just don't make a big deal out of it. Like.
He's not a rocket scientist. Don't make a big deal out of G's.
But the point
Okay,
being,
so-
I would risk my life to do that, to be the first person in another solar system. But I
Sure.
don't think long term enough.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the text and say something that sounds really, really funky again.
Yeah.
Okay? So, in the book of Revelation, and yes, this is the only place it appears in the whole book. Although it's in other religions, it's the only place in the Bible.
Right.
He's essentially like, it looks like he's on a holodeck and watching a play or something, right? But then he's taken out of there and he's shown something from a different point of view. And he sees like the restaurant at the end of the galaxy or the end of the universe or whatever that was. He sees it from like a safe position, but he sees the whole thing happen, right? So after having described what is graphically represented behind me, moon and earth-sized objects that are solid, and you could like touch it if you got close enough. And anyway, after describing these huge objects, he then says, and heaven, those solid objects, rolled up like a scroll, and every mountain was moved. So I don't know if that's like a time shockwave, or I don't like, my brain can't understand that. Except I know that you can't roll up planets like they're on a piece of paper. But that's what's described in the text.
I could go way out there sci-fi wise.
Go ahead, man.
If you can manipulate gravity in such a way, if you can manipulate the fabric of space, I don't see a reason not to be able to curve and roll it in that sort of
A folding
weird.
of space-time, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yeah, if you can control gravity, gravity is the only thing that throws it. You know, why is gravity as a fundamental force so weak compared to every other fundamental force? Does it leak into other? Does it leak into other universes? Does
Maybe 97% of it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Well.
I don't even know what that means, but 97% of it apparently is somewhere else.
Yeah, well, this is why we're here in the pigsty. We pull numbers out of our arse. It's history in inverted commas, special evolution by Richard. Not only, we have so many disclaimers in the title.
Yeah, not enough. We need 2 or 3 more. I'm telling you, the most unquoted part of the Bible is probably that line.
What? Gravity leaks 97%.
No, and heaven rolled up like a scroll. Like, nobody talks about that.
No, you just
look
killed
at
the
that
room.
and
You
their
just killed the
brain
room.
just
Nobody
goes
talks
dead.
about
They
it.
don't
We're
know
waiting
what
for
to
you to
think.
explain it.
I think that heaven is solid objects as described in the text, giving color, shape, measurement.
How much of the text do you believe is real, and how much do you think?
100% of it within my view.
Okay.
I don't deny any of it. I don't deny science. I don't deny stratigraphy. I don't deny math. I don't deny anything that I think is obviously just true stuff.
Yeah. It's such a leap.
We can argue about where evolution happened, but you and I are talking. So obviously it happened.
Yes. No,
and you get into an infinite regress of where did it start, and there's no way to answer that. That's fine. But Christians will claim that God is outside of space-time when the text doesn't say anything like that.
Oh, because they want arguments.
It's my dad's bigger than yours. That's the argument. It's stupid.
Yeah. Yes.
He claims to be born of slaves.
Who does?
That's what he claims. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So how do you start to reconcile when you hit the direct contradictions?
I don't see any.
All right, let's go with a stupid one.
Go ahead.
The genealogy of Jesus.
Okay. Let me just start. This is going to sound off topic. It's not. Do you think that Christians who read the Bible are normally biased?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's a good idea to take the advice of biased people on the topic they're biased about?
No, but it's the only way to talk to them.
Then don't believe Christians. Okay, now let's start from scratch.
That doesn't answer the question as to why.
I know, but it's necessity that I say that first.
That's
so
fine.
let's forget what Christians say about the Bible. Now we can talk.
Right.
Okay. So what do you think is a conflict?
There are 2 different genealogies.
Why would there not be?
Both claiming to be Joseph's.
Yes. Why is that a problem? It's
either.
2 different stories.
Yes, but my point being...
What's the problem with it being 2 different stories?
No, the problem is whether or not it's 2 different people.
Right, it's 2 different people. Exactly right. Good job.
Then the contradiction is that it's claiming to be the same person.
No, it's not claiming to be the same person.
How is it? It says this is the lineage of Joseph, the father of Jesus.
That's right.
It's fucking insane that he is listed as the father. But yeah, go on.
Okay, so let me just apply this real quick to what I understand the Bible to be meaning. Earth is a good thing to do. God is powerful. God has made more than one earth. That just answered everything about the 4 Gospels being different, about the lineage of Joseph being different. It should be different. It's not the same story. I would think that would be insane for it to be exactly the same.
No. Go back. Say what you just said a minute ago.
Multiple Earth.
There we go. That was. I needed it simplified for me. It's late.
They should be different. They are different stories. Just like you think they're different stories, that's because they're different stories.
So your logic is okay, right? And I can see how then it's not a contradiction. Apart from the fact it doesn't say it's different stories.
Look, if you're nailed to a cross and you're dying and you have last words, you only get one set. Right?
Yes, agreed with that. Again, another blinding.
But in the same situation, 4 different human beings might say something slightly different from each other.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Your logic, by the way, at this point, is Jesus human?
Yeah, just like you or anybody else.
I have to clarify these things.
I know I say weird stuff. I'm not trying to demean you by answering that.
No, I've got no problem with that. It's just given again, you speak to Christians and the claim is not that he is human.
Well, God is human if you want to qualify God. If you want to say
that was my issue before, which I interrupted you and we never got to. But did you?
Okay, so what I see every spirituality describing is the same. That there's a collective of people who in the past have done a certain job to save their planet. They collectively are, quote unquote, God.
Right. So to our definition of God, they're not.
To a Christian... But let's not talk to biased people who don't make sense in their own text, creating conflicts.
I mean, now, to me, I look at what people describe as God. There are Greek gods. There is the Christian God. There are the Hindu gods. Okay?
Right. That all makes sense. It's all the same thing.
Right. But my point being, they are all something that exist within with some relevance of supernatural to them.
Why do you say supernatural?
Because that's the language that we are taught to use.
Wait. Let's go back to bias and why we should listen to biased people.
But my point is, you're not describing a god if you're not separating it from advanced.
Why does a god have to have magic?
Because then it's not, because that's the definition.
No, I don't see that definition anywhere except in bias of practitioners.
Because how else do you describe? I mean, I agree with you. Have you seen Stargate?
No, yet.
A couple episodes of the TV series.
Do you comprehend that the Goa'uld consider themselves gods?
It's God.
I've heard that recently in one of these conversations. Yeah.
Right, and that's what you're describing, a god in that context.
Except we're like genetically related, like literally dad.
I've got no problem with that. My issue being that when within the context of languages we use, and yes, I'm more than willing to agree there is a bias.
Okay.
But a god tends to be something that is more than an advance. Where you use master race, it's horrible to use that because it has terrible connotations.
They just were.
My point being that is a much more meaningful term.
Why? Because my daddy's bigger than yours or something?
No,
I don't need my dad, my actual dad who I knew as a child. I don't need him to be a superhero. He's still my dad. Now, when I was a child, I thought he was a superhero, but that was through the eyes of a child.
I agree with you, and it's not even that. I don't disagree with you in the concepts you are trying to say. I disagree with your use of the word.
Which word?
God!
What's wrong with the word God?
Because it comes with a narrative that says supernatural.
Okay, I agree with you. It comes with a narrative that says supernatural, sure.
Right, and that's my problem with using it.
Well, what's supernatural?
Something that is outside of for the sake of this argument, our universe.
Okay, is it possible for something to be outside of our universe?
No idea.
I feel stupid even saying it.
I probably.
Could any Christian justify the idea of a disembodied mind without using the example of their structure of God?
No.
Like, give me example number 2 of a disembodied mind.
There isn't an example number 2 of them.
There are no examples.
There are no examples. Like I say, there isn't example number 1.
There's not even example number 1. So because that's unreasonable, I don't think it's true.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so what they're saying, what they're proposing is something that is not plausible.
No,
we have no evidence to it.
I think a God, by definition, can't exist.
Okay, all right. So here's where I define different than you. Okay,
Right, but
I think the word supernatural is just an ignorant term to describe something we don't yet understand. Okay, it's not actually supernatural.
I think it's worse than that. I agree.
Let me finish this thought, and then you can fix whatever I say wrong. Okay. That at some point in our history, we didn't understand why the sun made a dark-colored rock hot, and to us that was sun magic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, but we now understand it because we developed a test and we learned.
Yes.
Okay, so I think there is no such thing as supernatural, nor is that described anywhere in any spirituality, but only practitioners read it that way. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that they use the term supernatural just to differentiate the magic that they want to have.
Right.
I don't think it has any meaning to something that we don't yet understand, even.
Right. That way they don't have to use the word magic.
Yes. They don't like it. I mean, a number of the arguments I get into with Christians where I insist on using the word magic. And I say, so you don't believe in miracles? And they say, oh, that's not magic. I said, go look up any definition of magic.
Well, yeah, it's the same definition. You're right. In the context I've accepted about, and specifically Christianity, reading the Bible, the miracle is not a magic thing.
No.
The actual miracle is that it was incredibly, almost impossible to change a situation. Yet, because of the acts of the participants, the situation changed. That's the miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Not alchemy. It's not even describing alchemy. I'm telling you, man, Christians have it's cute. It's a cute view of the text. That's the best thing I can say about it. Like a child, it's cute.
I'm going to have to go back and find out why you think this. But
think what?
Why you think your interpretation is right?
Because it works universally, consistently, coherently, correspondently. Because it actually works.
But the point is, you can't say it works. It works is meaningless. Is a meaningless cover.
Okay, then let me change it. Let me expound on that a little bit. Every religion across this planet, even if separated by time and geography, in the context that I'm explaining to people, tells the same story. In huge amounts of detail, talking only of our future. It's all prophecy, it's all animism, and it's all cryptic, except through this idea I've accepted. To me, it's not cryptic.
Are you not nitpicking religions?
What do you mean by nitpicking?
There's an actual term for it, isn't there? Cherry picking.
Cherry picking. Which religions do you want me to include and exclude? Because I only
have absolutely no idea. I can't dig that.
Then I'll describe what a true religion is in my view.
But the fact that you're going to try and define religion, is that not automatically going to exclude some religions?
You'll probably agree with me that the rest are not religions.
I highly doubt it, but go on.
Well, let me try.
I don't know. I'm more than willing to hear.
Let me give the definition before you object to the definition. Okay, so I believe a valid religion is any expression from any people from any time that describes a lineage of ancestry where they have power and personage. Any. That's going to exclude certain things, like Church of Satan, which doesn't believe Satan exists.
No, totally
not included.
Paganism, the various sorts.
Paganism included. Wodenism included. Almost anything. And yes, it works in all of those.
Again, I don't know enough about others to specific in numbers to.
I mean, it's really, really inclusive, and it's consistent. It actually gets rid of all the conflicts within all the stories between any given expression and in between expressions. So when someone says to me like, "Oh, Buddha is different than Christ for these reasons," I say, "Well, that's because you're looking at the story in these ways." And
it's sounding more and more like string theory.
I don't know what that meant.
The reason that string theory has... no, I don't want to go into it. It sounds like by adding multiple Earths...
Yeah, it solves all the problems.
It lets you... Yes.
But the text described multiple Earths, so I'm not just inventing it. It literally describes...
Where is it to say that it's multiple Earths?
I'll give you some examples. I could say the life of man on the planet. You understand that expression, right?
As in, do I understand the words or have I heard it before?
Both?
No, I haven't heard it before.
Okay, I could change it to more scientific terms. Like I could say the life of Homo sapiens sapien on the planet. Does that make sense?
I've got no problem with the life of man on Earth. I'm just saying I've never heard it before. I understand the words and I think I understand what you're trying to convey.
Okay. All right. So I could call that a time frame, and I could give the whole time frame one label. I could call it an age.
Yeah.
Or I could call it an eon, or I could call it a day.
Yeah.
Or I mean, all these terms I could use to describe that event.
Yeah, got no problem with that.
Okay. So then all of them use a term that means that.
Okay.
Talking about it coming to an end, a fruition, a completion. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the stories are written by someone who already went through that.
Right.
And talking about their past. Like if I asked you right now, and this varies by person.
Right. How with it? Do Seventh-day Adventists fit?
What about them?
Do they fit into the overall context?
Well, yeah, they fit.
They all wrote, there was lots of writings about the end of the era for them, and then it didn't happen, and they.
It should not have happened yet. None of it has happened.
But my point being is how is them writing about that and it not happening different from all the times in the Bible where there is the end of an era?
It's still talking. All of it's talking about something that hasn't happened. That's why there's no evidence for it physically happening. It hasn't. I would be freaked out if I found evidence.
Can I cut that?
You can have it. Yeah. I'll say it again. I would be really, really freaked out to find any part of a crucifix anywhere that was definitely Jesus. I would like deny the whole thing. I couldn't accept the Bible based on that evidence.
It's okay. I'm going to have to leave.
There cannot be a crucifixion of Christ yet, according to the text. There can't be.
What? Why not?
Well, for one thing, it hasn't happened according to the text. And for another thing, it hasn't happened according to real history. Like secular stuff.
You really need to talk to Christians.
I'm trying to. They won't. They just freak out and run away and call me names. That's all they'll do. I'm serious. They literally just call me names, and then they tell me that they have the power of Christ, and they rebuke me, and then they run away. I don't even know why they think they're Christ. I can't even get that part. But anyway. It's like I rebuke in the name of Dave. What the heck does that mean? I'm not Dave.
No, I always find that one weird.
Did you approve that? I mean, come on. Okay, joking aside though. Okay. I'll give you a little short, tiny example of why I believe what I believe. So I have to ask you some baseline questions. Were you ever any Christian at all, Dave?
I don't know.
Sorry?
I don't know.
You don't know. Were you ever a studier of the Bible?
Probably.
And people spoke to you about it and what it said and meant?
Probably.
And sometimes you did this in groups?
Again, I'll go with probably. Okay, you need to
That's good enough
understand,
for me.
in my 20s,
Yeah.
I took a drug that broke my memory.
But you know stuff about the Bible.
I remember bits. I remember an awful lot of the knowledge, but I don't remember a lot of the...
So you're not confused if I say Samson and Delilah?
No.
You know what that means?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to describe a certain situation to you, and I'd like you to label the situation. Okay? You ready? Jess, no?
Yeah, go
You
on.
don't want to play?
No, go on.
Okay.
I'm just terribly worried my memory's going to fail me.
No, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. This is going to be easy. Okay. So this certain situation, there's a living person. I'm going to be as vague as possible. Okay? Because no way you're going to miss this. Nobody ever has. There's a person or persons who tell the truth about God. This person or persons, be they male or female, doesn't even matter. So this they tells the truth about God. This they argues with people in position of authority. This they pisses them off so bad that they kill the they. This they lays dead 3.5 days. Then this they is raised from the dead, and this they for a short amount of time longer, 40 days exact, after being dead 3.5 days, raised from the dead, tells the truth for 40 more days, and then this they go to heaven. Put a label on that, please.
I wish I could remember a clever name, but Jesus.
Right. Could it be anybody else according to Christianity text?
According to Christianity, no.
Right, there's no chance it could be someone else, you're sure?
No.
Because I'm really sure, I agree with you, it can't be someone else.
Like I said, I'm willing to agree with you, but my memory is not enough to outright rule it out.
No, you're right. You did great. Every Christian ever is going to agree with you. Okay? Here's the problem. It's a description from the book of Revelation of the two witnesses. It's a future event. And people object to me and go, well, why is he calling two witnesses? I don't know. Why is he calling the two olive branches? Why is he calling the two candlesticks? Why does he call him the man God? Why does he call him two all the time? Not every time, but many, many, many times. Like, what's the problem? It hasn't happened. And by the way, if it already happened, it didn't work. I don't know if anybody noticed this.
I don't think anybody knows what's going on right now.
I'm falling asleep to what's going on.
Well, I'm just saying, if God had Christ killed and crucified and raised from the dead 2,000 years ago, then God's very short-sighted and didn't know what was going to happen.
Bastard.
I think the Bible is full of everything that says that God didn't have a clue what was going to happen.
Well, don't take advice from people you know are biased.
Everybody's biased, as you pointed out there earlier, Richard. So by that definition,
Sure, everyone's biased. I'm biased too, but I'm biased that this is correct because it solves all these conflicts. And it doesn't apologize them away. It really solves it.
Conflicts that exist in it. There's nothing that says
No,
that
it solves conflicts that exist everywhere. Not just in it.
So the answer to the meaning of life is not 42.
Well, it is, but what's the
It could be
question?
42 worlds.
I thought it was 28
Ooh, that's
or
interesting.
24.
Well, there's 29 parts of heaven that we'll see arrive, so that doesn't go equally into 42. But anyway.
Right.
It is. I'll give you another example of that. It is the original flower of life, based on this exact pattern.
You
It
said
is the
flower of life, and I
original.
thought trigina.
It's the original mandala. It's the original Christmas tree. It's the original, like, the Zuni Red Star Kachina. I mean, it's just everywhere, man. Just everywhere.
I know that you say that, Richard, and that's why we think that you're genuine. And
But if it's spherical, a spherical is a shape. It's always spherical. If it's red, red's a color. It's always red.
If it's
29
Cripple.
count, that's a number. What?
If it's something is spherical, it is because it is using the least amount of energy for surface area.
the most
Yeah, that's
efficient
smart,
shape
right?
is actually the hexagon, the B shape of the honeycomb. It's the most efficient.
That's within a
For
two-dimensional.
what? Yes.
Within a three-dimensional with multiple
Three-dimensional
things.
is a shape, yes. Look, I'm just trying to be involved in my own channel, okay? Sorry, I go back to being muted. You two can, like,
Where have you been?
monkeys don't exist
Where
and Stitching
have
is
you
real.
been?
Monkeys don't exist
Where
and
have you
Stitching
been?
is real.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? I went and fed the dog while you went for a wee. Let the dog out for a while. Had to get a wee bit of fresh air. I'm very stoned. I do apologise, but just went.
I'm disturbed. I didn't notice you'd gone until you said you were back.
You just were getting so involved. No. If I had said anything, I'd have ruined it. Look, see, I'm only talking 2 minutes. I'm already ruining it. Richard's down for a
No,
smoke.
because I'm going. I have to. I need to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave said he's tired anyway.
No, everybody, thank you very much for coming up for this special. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Right.
And I'll put a retraction at the end. I see this stuff in the text. I don't know near enough about science. I've only cared since 2012. So I haven't had time to look anything up. And, I mean, it's a wonder I can remember what I do.
I appreciate it. Right, everybody. Richard, what have you got coming up next? We've got, this Sunday I've got Lilith. And then on Tuesday I've got Christy Santiago. So, what have you got coming up, Richard? Anything cool?
Well, just recently did The Daily Atheist. Dr. Josh is apparently ready to have a conversation about David and Goliath. Skylar's in the middle of arranging that.
I'm afraid to ask Dr. Josh or anything to come on because they're so big. They scare me.
Oh, not to be scared of. He's a person just like he's really well educated.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. I'm not educated at all. Why would you want to come on and talk
You're
to
still
a drunken
brilliant,
Irishman?
even if you're uneducated.
Right. Anyway, on that, everybody, thank you very much for turning up for the boxing ring. We got Rocky Balboa, and did we get Mr. T, or did we get Rocky 2? What happened? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Talk to you all later.
Peace and
Good night.
respect.